Hello everyone, welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news about the Congress's vote on Syrian refugees, a speech from Congressman Kevin McCarthy, today's gas prices, weather, sports, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitney. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. In news about the Syrian refugee crisis, here's news from Washington. Here's a video from Congressman McCarthy addressing Congress last week.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I thank those who have worked on this bill. Congressman Richard Hudson, Chairman Mike McCall, a number of other committee chairmen, and Chairman Goodlatte and others. This is not an issue that comes before us just because of an action that happened recently, a horrific action. You know, Mr. Speaker, our duty is to protect the American people. You know, without security, we cannot have freedom. Without security, we cannot help others abroad. The American people are generous. And we want to help those in the world suffering from terrorism and civil war. The fact that America gives far more in foreign aid than any other country in the world is a testament to our generosity. You know, in 2014, we gave over $6.5 billion in humanitarian foreign aid alone. And that doesn't even count the millions of dollars that privately have been offered by American people. But being generous does not mean we have to have a weak screening process for refugees, especially for those coming from Iraq and Syria, where we know people are there who seek to do us harm and are looking to exploit a weak process. And it is wrong to condemn a strong screening process using the language of charity and morality. When we allow refugees into this country, we must be guided by one single principle. If you are a terrorist or you are a threat to our country, you are not getting in, period. The bill before us increases the standards to keep those who want to do us harm out. But America is not saying no to refugees. America always stands as a beacon of hope for everyone fleeing oppression and terror. Nothing will stop us from protecting the innocent while continuing our fight against evil. Instead, this bill puts a pause on our refugee program until we are certain that nobody being allowed in possesses a threat to the American people. But to those who do not even want to consider increasing accountability in our refugee process, and to the President who announced that he wants to veto this bill, let me tell you this. It is against the values of our nation and the values of a free society to give terrorists the opening they are looking for, to come into our country and harm the American people. And we have an obligation to stop that from happening. But in the debate we are having on the refugee crisis, we should not lose sight of the root of the problem. The real problem is ISIL and our lack of strategy to destroy them. It astounds me that the President refuses to face reality and admit that his strategy is failing. ISIL controls territory the size of Maryland. Attacks in Paris, Beirut, and in Egypt show that ISIL is not contained to Iraq and Syria. Every day ISIL continues to exist is another day they can train, recruit, and radicalize more people to continue their war on the civilized world and threaten the safety of the American people. This danger is real, and nothing can replace a winning strategy. Here in the House, we will not accept half measures. We are committed to keeping America safe. That's why I ask all in the House to support this bill, and I yield back.
It appears that while the liberal media has tried to paint this issue as a Republican versus Democrat issue, the actual voting is not supporting that position. The House easily passed a bill Thursday that would suspend the program allowing Syrian and Iraqi refugees into the U.S. until key national security agencies certify they don't pose a security risk. The vote was 289 to 137, with 47 Democrats joining 242 Republicans in favor of the bill, creating a majority that could override President Barack Obama's promised veto. It also faces an uncertain future in the Senate, where Minority Leader Harry Reid said he will try to block the bill. The high number of Democrats voting against the White House is a clear sign Obama is increasingly isolated in his position on refugees in light of the ISIS terrorist attacks on Paris. During his trip abroad last week, Obama offered forceful defense of the program and derided Republican opponents as being scared of widows and orphans. We are not well served when, in response to a terrorist attack, we descend into fear and panic, Obama said in the Philippines last Wednesday. We don't make good decisions if it's based on hysteria or an exaggeration of the risk. Republicans were determined to move quickly. House Speaker Paul Ryan told recruiters, "This is urgent. We cannot and should not wait to act, not when our national security is at stake." The administration's veto threat baffles me, Ryan said, especially given the fact that his own law enforcement top officials came to Congress and testified that there are gaps in this refugee program. Republicans also used the debate to criticize the president's approach to fighting terrorism. The real problem is ISIL and the lack of a strategy, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy said, adding it was astounding the president has yet to lay out a comprehensive approach to the threat in the Middle East. Obama administration officials have been lobbying Democrats to oppose the measure. FBI Director James Comey has expressed deep concerns about the bill. Comey has told administration and congressional officials that the legislation would make it impossible to allow any refugees into the U.S. and could affect the ability of travelers from about 36 countries that are allowed easier travel to the U.S. under the visa waiver program, the officials say. There are always risks in allowing any foreigners into the U.S., Comey told the officials, adding that the FBI believes it has an effective process with intelligence and other agencies to conduct vetting of refugees. It is unclear when the Senate will take up the measure, but Reid on last Thursday said Democrats will attempt to block it. "We've explained here in some detail the problem is not with refugees," Reid said when asked if Democrats could support the House bill. "I don't think we will be dealing with it over here." Reid's language suggests Democrats will use the power of their 46 seats to block the House bill from getting the 60 votes it would need to clear procedural hurdles in the Senate. Senate Democrats told reporters they support two measures that would respond to the Paris attacks. One would prevent people who have been to Syria or Iraq in the last 5 years from entering the United States through the visa waiver program. The second would prevent people on the terrorism watch list from buying guns or explosives, something currently allowed. The Democrats said Senator Rand Paul is now blocking progress on a spending bill for transportation and housing programs that is currently on the floor because he is insisting on getting a vote on his amendment that is aimed at preventing Syrian refugees from entering the United States. GOP leaders and bill managers oppose having a refugee vote on this bill because they say it is unrelated and want to deal with that issue later. Unless the GOP presidential candidate relents, this may delay passage of the underlying funding bill until after the Thanksgiving recess, when Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell can take the time-consuming procedural steps to overcome Paul's objections. Also Thursday, Senator Ted Cruz attempted to quickly move two bills of his that would address the refugee laws. One bill would force Americans who join overseas terrorist groups to renounce their U.S. citizenship. A second would immediately bar refugees from any country, including Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Syria, or Yemen, that contains territory substantially controlled by a foreign terrorist organization, with exceptions for groups that are victims of genocide, Cruz's officials said. The bills were blocked by Democrats who denied the Texas Republicans' request for unanimous consent to pass the measures. Now stay with us for gas prices and holiday news when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Well, the holiday season is quickly approaching. I don't know about you folks, but I always look forward to this part of the year. This week we have Thanksgiving. All of us will have different things to consider for Thanksgiving. For me, I'm most thankful for my family and friends. Without them, I would be nothing. And I'm looking forward to a great new year with a new grandbaby and a new great-grandbaby coming in early next year. So, life is good. After Thanksgiving, Black Friday, so here we go. Fasten your seatbelts. This will be a great holiday season. My wife Shannon and I, and everyone at KZGN-TV and Guns for Us, hope yours is a great one as well. Now in KZGN continuous effort to provide news and information you've asked for, here are today's gas prices for Ridgecrest and some surrounding areas. Well, since my report on Friday, gas prices have been steady. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $2.79 to $2.99, Lancaster from $2.72 to $2.99, the LA Valley area $2.65 to $2.83, and the Bishop area $2.83 to $3.09. We still have 4 stations coming in at the $2.79 figure. Tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay sales tax out of town, you're helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. Now stay with us for weather and sports after the break. Thanks for staying with us. And now here's Keith with the weather.
Thank you, Tom. Here's your forecast for Thanksgiving week. The coldest air of the season so far will be affecting many locations across the eastern U.S. High temperatures will be 10 to 15 degrees below normal for locations east of the Mississippi. Meanwhile, temperatures across the western U.S. will be above normal for this time of year. Temperatures across the nation. Carolinas came in at 45, Georgia 45, Arkansas 48, Northern Texas 45, Arizona 63, and Los Angeles at 64. For your local forecast, tonight mostly clear with a low around 41, south-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. On Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 68, southwest wind 5 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 25. Tuesday night, partly cloudy with a low around 40 degrees, breezy with a southwest wind 20 to 25 miles per hour with gusts as high as 40. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 52, breezy with a west-southwest wind 20 to 25 miles per hour with gusts as high as 35. Wednesday night, partly cloudy with a low around 31, breezy with a west wind 15 to 20 miles per hour. On Thanksgiving Day, mostly sunny with a high near 53, northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low around 30, northeast wind 5 miles per hour. Friday, sunny with a high near 53, north-northeast wind 5 miles per hour. Friday night, partly cloudy with a low around 30 degrees, north-northeast wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And on Saturday, mostly sunny with a high near 54, north wind 5 miles per hour. And as a look at your forecast, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you back on Monday. Now back to Tom and the rest of the KZGN News.
Thanks, Keith, for the weather. And now here's Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Monday afternoon to everyone. And a tough game for Burroughs on Friday night. The Burroughs gave it all they had, defensively struggled some. La Quinta's a good team, and no shame losing to a good team, and I think La Quinta has really peaked right now. And with me is Christopher Livingston, no stranger to the Valley. He's at every event, every banquet. Does a great job of covering everybody and getting everybody some exposure, which everyone loves to have for their programs. He's done a great job with football, has a publication on Thursday that comes out in the Daily Independent. It's excellent. Covers a lot of the local sports. And Christopher was there on Friday night. And your thoughts, Christopher?
It definitely was a different game for Burroughs, especially on defense. Usually, at least at the beginning of the season, we're very used to seeing them just score really low points, but yet the defense is able to kind of reciprocate that and shut out the opponent's offenses. Mm-hmm. On Friday night, it was a little bit different. We saw a lot of kind of flip-flops on defense, a little bit of mistakes being made, and just way too many points to be scored for much of Burroughs' liking.
Mm-hmm. Now, what were some of the things that impressed you with La Quinta?
Definitely their versatility. Justin Anderson, he's listed as a running back and cornerback on paper, but he was being used more as a wide receiver. And their actual rusher, they were able to go to him a lot. He scored about 4 touchdowns that night. So definitely able to use both an air and a ground game against the Burroughs.
Mm-hmm. Now, their good senior quarterback, Mike Avina, hadn't played really. He played one game prior to this one. He was out with injury most of the season. After 2 games he went out, and they basically told me before the game, those up in the press box for La Quinta that do all their games, as far as their PA and as far as their scoring, that getting a couple guys back, mainly Michael Avina, was huge for them. They're almost a different type team right now. So I think they were just peaking at the right time. The week before they went down and beat a very good team in Norte Vista, the team that was really highly rated. So La Quinta has a great matchup this week with a very good Oak Hills team, a team from our league.
Absolutely, and Oak Hills, well, what I thought was very surprising, they beat Palm Springs. I actually walloped them over down the road in Palm Springs, so it's definitely one of those games where Oak Hills will be tested, I would say, against La Quinta, a team that looks pretty much just like them. And it will be very interesting to see how that comes about.
Okay, now let's go back to Burroughs real quick. A lot of great sophomores on the team. We're going to miss some seniors on the team, but this group, this sophomore group, has come up through the IWV ranks. They only lost 1 game as freshmen together, and now Todd Mather talked about them 4 or 5 years ago. He said, I can hardly wait till these guys are up with me now. And next year, most of these sophomores that really did a good job and got good playing time are going to really get the opportunity next year to go a long way.
Absolutely, and your big example of a sophomore is Austin Griffin. You know, starting quarterback. You saw that there was a little bit of testing going on, especially at the beginning of the year. Todd Mather decided to bench him during the first game at Barstow, and sure enough, when he came back into the game, he was lights out. And same thing, he had a couple of really good plays, a few really good touchdowns, one to Michael McKinney that just right at the tip of the end zone against La Quinta. So it'll be very exciting to see him now as an upperclassman moving forward.
All right, Christopher, we appreciate you stopping by. And again, 2 teams from our league move into the semifinals. Both Serrano, who won our league, and the second place team Oak Hills will advance into the semifinals this upcoming Friday. A few scores from college football. UCLA had a great win, 16-9, against a very good Utah team on Saturday. USC fell 48-28 up in Eugene against a very good Oregon team. And Washington State, they win again. They beat Colorado. And Stanford wins the North of the Pac-12. They defeat a very scrappy team in the California Bears. This Friday, or I beg your pardon, this Saturday, something I always look forward to, and that is that matchup between UCLA and USC. And perhaps we'll talk more about that with Christopher, or we'll visit with Coach Scott. He is a big fan of USC. All right, with that said, that's your sports for this Monday early evening. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of the KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay with us. Coming up next, Ridgecrest Talk.